everybody, it is Thursday, so we are going to be talking Prodigy. This is actually the last episode of the season, and it took us places personally wasn't expecting. I have with me Keith Shevlin and Jason McCammon, and so I guess beautiful bean footage. Are we feeling the beautiful bean footage?
Yeah, we can go with it.
Because I am feeling the beautiful bean footage. Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right, we appear to have intimidated Jason so badly that he has left us for the moment. So there's that.
Okay, then.
Oh, man. So, Supernova Part 2, in which we clear up the Armada issue and destroy the Protostar.
Yep. Before we get too much into it, I need to apologize. Last week I made the mistake of saying that the Defiant was not one of the ships we saw, but it actually was the Defiant. It very clearly saw USS Defiant written on the top of the ship.
So do we think the Defiant survived, or is it just the one floating in the ship graveyard that is now that sector?
Oh, it's a tough little ship. I think it survived, but I do think there is one specific named ship that did not survive this battle, that you didn't see their name of it, but you saw its registry number on the nacelle. And that would be one NCC 1701E.
Ooh.
That was out there?
It was out there.
I somehow managed to miss that. I don't know. I have to admit, I was far more teary-eyed this episode than I expected to be.
Yeah. Well, we've already been getting hints from the Terry Matalas, the showrunner, on that other Star Trek show that you don't like to talk about, that season 3 comes out in February.
I'm sorry.
Yippee.
I just hear the static. I just hear static.
That in that show, which is set now 16 years after this show, we see the Enterprise F, which means to believe that at some point the Enterprise E is destroyed. And based on what we saw last week and in the wreckage in this episode, I think the E is bitted.
Fair enough.
Do they have to destroy a ship before they make another one? I don't think so.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, in Star Trek canon, yes, but in actual reality, no. Quite frankly, what often happens is the ship gets retired and either scuttled for scrap or renamed or sold off and renamed. Any iteration of that.
Yeah,
but in Star Trek, they blow that shit up.
Yeah,
it hits planets and gets blown up.
Yes. Yes, but only when Troy drives. Only when Troy drives. Thank you, Rick Berman.
Berman.
Like how the baton gets passed to her doesn't even make any sense.
She was the one who could get up there and take control.
Is that what we're going with?
Well, yeah.
I mean, seriously, is that what we're going with?
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes the most sense to me. So
we're going with stupid. That's what we're going with.
I mean, I'm just gonna keep drinking.
Yeah. All right. So back to Supernova Part 2. You want me to do the full recap?
I mean, if you would like, I think I did it last week.
Yes, you did. So we pick up where we left off last week here in the 20th episode of Season 1, Supernova Part 2, written by the Hageman boys. The ships, more Starfleet ships are arriving. The Klingons are trying to help, and the Protostar realizes that they have to somehow end this. So they decide, okay, if we destroy the ship, we'll destroy the living construct, and we'll destroy the signal, and all this madness will end. And of course, we're seeing all this wreckage of all these ships around it. They're
Did
able.
anybody else have a Serenity feel? You can't stop the signal, Mal.
Oh, it didn't hit me till you just said that.
Yeah, now that you said it, yeah. So they
Well,
start. They get.
well, are we talking about it before you finish recapping, or go ahead? Go ahead.
We're
Recap.
gonna recap. We're gonna get through the recap. I swear.
We'll talk.
So they're able to get the impulse engines working, and they decide that to destroy the ship, they're going to overload the protostar core. But in order to do that and not destroy, all of Starfleet there in Supernova, hence the name of the episode, uh, if they launch the ship into proto warp at the exact time it overloads, then the explosion gets spread out over long distance and therefore minimizes damage. So of course Dal, being the evolved, mature captain he is, volunteers to do that so that everyone else can go off and join Starfleet and be happy. And then Janeway goes, "You don't have to die.
Hologram.
Hologram. Yep."
Right.
So she volunteers to do it and says that she will download a copy of her program onto an isolinear chip, which you knew right when she said that was a lie. So they
I think
start.
she actually believed it, though.
Well, she tried. At least she tried.
But anyway.
But yeah, the real Janeway realizes what they're doing and sees them go off, and then they are able to quick create a ship that all of them can get into, but they have life support. They have the minimal engines, archaic controls, no chairs, no seatbelts. But they said they're going to be handles, but I did not see handles in the final ship. But I also didn't see a replicator or a toilet. But we won't go there.
Hey, they weren't planning on being there long.
And yet we know it takes them a month.
Yes. So they get out, and the protostar goes to proto warp and explodes. Janeway, having said her goodbye, convincing them that they were taking a copy of her with them. And then, of course, it's not a copy of her, but a final message. Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my.
I know.
Oh, sorry,
I know.
wrong movie, wrong series.
I know. I had the same thought. I was like, what?
Yep.
And the protostar goes off in a grand explosion, just like in Last Jedi when the rebel ship goes through the First Order ship. And we have this beautiful explosion, and that's when they bring up Janeway and realizes it's a goodbye message and not the actual hologram. We flash ahead 1 month later, back at Starfleet headquarters, which is on the correct side of San Francisco Bay for the first time in all of Trek since it came back in 2017. They keep on putting Starfleet on the wrong side of the bay, but they had it right this time.
Maybe it's on both sides of the bridge.
Well,
there's an A campus and a B campus. I mean, come on, Keith.
Of course. Well, in a very sparsely attended briefing, they figure out that what happened with the Protostar and that it actually recreated the wormhole that originally sent the Protostar to the future, and they have a way of reaching Chakotay 52 years into an alternate future. And Janeway, of course, volunteers to lead the ship to go in search of that. But first, arriving, having almost crashed into the Golden Gate Bridge. Wait, no, that's another Star Trek thing.
Yeah.
Arriving right underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, we have the ship. It is picked up by the Voyager A, shown lowering down over top of them to beam them up and bring them on, having been lost in space for a month in a ship with no replicator or no toilet.
You're just not going to let that go.
I can't.
You're just not gonna let that go. Like you're over here, like it's a moving rock creature, but now you're just interested in like where they went to the toilet.
It's like a ship. You just go overboard. That's all.
Anyway.
Okay. All right. So now they are before a tribunal of the leadership of the Starfleet Academy, in which they lift off their crimes, and Janeway is right there defending them all, even going down to defend, but also give a backwards compliment to Dahl, saying, "Is he genetically enhanced?" Well, just look at him. Come on.
I mean, no. Right. And then Dell's just kind of
Yes, but but she was successful. They won't be immediately entered into Starfleet Academy because there's a waiting list.
It's a process.
Yeah. So instead, 5 of them will become warrant officers. So you got your petty officers on a ship under the command of Janeway. Of course, Rocktalk then realizes, wait, there's 6 of us. And of course, everyone assumes that means Dal, the genetically altered, is out. But no, instead, Gwyn. Gwyn is leaving. She's going to take a shuttle. She's going to find Solemn. She's going to get Han Solo back from Jabba the Hutt. I'm sorry. There are so many crossovers with Star Wars.
I mean,
episode.
I know. Like, I mean, this was very much sort of like a meta callback episode, right? Like, I mean, it's not necessarily like immediately specific, like it was, say, in Supernova Part 1 when we talk about the Brenari, right? Which was literally a callback to a previous episode of Voyager, Counterpoint, I believe.
Mhm.
Now we're getting like this meta reference, right? Like, when the Botany Bay ends up in the San Francisco Bay, but in Star Trek 4, as you mentioned, we've
It wasn't
got
the Botany Bay.
they
The
don't they
Bounty.
name it the
The
Botany Bay?
Bounty. The
Oh, the
Bounty.
Bounty. It's the HMS Bounty. That's right.
Yes.
Botany Bay is Space Seed. It's
Yes.
been a long, long week.
Oh, I
It's
hear
been
you.
a long week.
So then they see her leave, and then they see doors open, and the new first Protostar class ship is shown. But Janeway hints that there's something better yet to come for them. And
What is it?
Okay, so the toilet thing bugged you.
yes,
That bugged me.
yes,
Because the sheer size of that facility, where the hell do they put it?
yeah,
There's a reason Space Dock exists. There's a reason
yeah.
Utopia
That
Millennium
bugged me as
exists.
well. That I was bugged by multiple things, but that got me as well.
And did they say they had no navigation or anything like that on the ship?
On their ship, yes.
They had some navigation, but it was archaic and not the type of controls they were.
And they sort of
Well, the whole point is they were taking Janeway.
Yes.
Right. So they just fumbled their way home somehow.
And apparently crashed hard.
Yep.
They didn't
Into San Francisco Bay.
Why did they even need to crash? They didn't see them coming,
Obviously not.
before they got there.
And nobody saw them and on their way in. Like Earth defenses did not catch them. They didn't catch them passing Titan.
I mean, or maybe somebody fired on them, and that's how they ended up like spiraling out of control. I mean, who knows?
Well, we don't know. All we know is we see them floating in space, and then we see them in the bay. We don't know.
There's a lot of floating.
Yeah,
a lot of floating.
And somehow, some stuff between Dal and Gwyn had to have happened in that time.
Yes. Well, yeah, they had a month in the ship together, and yet she finally kisses him back, and yes, they are finally a couple.
I mean, that had to have been the first privacy they'd had in a month.
Oh, definitely.
And without smelling and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta let this go, guys. We gotta let this go. This is not the first ship that we haven't seen a bathroom on.
True, but just the idea that they spent a month on a ship that they could barely all fit on.
We don't know that. We don't know. We don't know that maybe they got picked up by somebody in the area, because I mean that's Central Federation space, guys.
True.
And surely somebody was over there like, well, maybe we should clean up this space debris in the middle of our, like on our back porch. Just saying.
Oh, well, yeah. What's the name of the scavengers from Lower Decks? The
pack leads?
No,
or no. You're right. Those guys.
Yes.
Those guys from the Peanut Hamper episode.
Yes, they were in a previous episode as well. They were.
I knew you were going to say that. Like, I knew as soon as that came out of my mouth. Like, I was like,
yeah, they were in the episode with Fletcher, and where they were literally throwing pieces of the ship at the Doritos.
Yeah. So anyway, I suspect that there was a lot of classified Starfleet tech on that, and so like Starfleet was like, no, we are going to clean up our own mess.
I was really surprised in this episode of how quickly they solved the problem of the virus and how quickly they blew up the protostar, and then the rest of the episode was sort of like aftermath resolutions. I was like, wow, if we only got that in Voyager's Endgame, it would be
Exactly. I was thinking that too. This was what we didn't get in Voyager Endgame.
like,
This is what we needed in Voyager Endgame, and we didn't get.
yeah,
Instead, Voyager Endgame started with them returning, but it was in an alternate timeline returning. Yeah, we didn't get the actual return.
no, we didn't. But anyway, that was the first thing I noticed. I'm like, wait, how long has passed in this episode? Like 3 minutes, and they already solved it.
The pacing in this one was really weird in that sense. You're right, because
Yeah.
like we get to that point, they make the decision, we get that emotional, and of course, by God, we get that emotional like image of like Janeway getting whited out. I reminded me of Rogue One. Not gonna lie,
Yeah, I got about that too.
Yeah,
reminded me of Rogue One, and like that happens, and then I'm
And the
like,
fact that when she's lying to them, she's turned away with her hand over her heart. It's like that's to tell that she's lying to them, and yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just over here like, is this the end of the episode? Like, I feel like I've only been watching for like 5 minutes, and I checked the watch, and I'm like, it's only been about 10 minutes. Like, what's going on, people?
Yeah.
What do we think about Gwen's decision, though?
To leave and go find her solemn home.
Yes.
I find it weird. I'm wondering. I'm thinking about like the fact that she's messing with time in a way that she's not even supposed to be there. I mean, obviously, like start.
Did we lose them?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's on the search for her dad, who, of course, died last episode. So, being proper to Star Trek lore, he died one episode, and she's on the search for him in the next episode.
Again, meta allusions to the rest of canon. It's kind of bananas, guys.
Sorry, Jason, you cut out on us there.
Yeah, I did. But anyway, I was just wondering if Starfleet actually knows of that solemn planet at this point.
It sounds like they don't. She said she recognizes some stars from one of the
from the hologram, the holographic reproduction that her father showed her when he was doing this is the thing I should have told you, like, when for years and years and years. When I was writing about the episode last week, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, this is really strange, right? Because we know the Diviner basically has Gwen as a replacement in the event that he dies before he finds the protostar, right? So you would think that at a certain point he would try to indoctrinate Gwendala into his worldview.
He was. I thought he was.
He was trying to, and
yeah.
But I don't think he did. I don't think he did a good job, though.
Oh, he didn't, and he blames it on Dow.
But the point here is, she's what, 17, and the first time she finds out about why they're out there is at 17 years old,
right?
When her dad is trying to talk her into joining his cause, and I'm like, you inculcate that shit early, people.
Yeah.
Like, it's called indoctrination, and there's a guy who knows how to do it
for a reason. Come on,
3 years old.
Yeah. I mean, and it's kind of this interesting idea, because I wonder what kind of that if we are getting a shift in the way the Diviner is approaching Gwen, because like I get the feeling very early on that she's a sword. And then I get the feeling toward the end of this season that she's a child.
Yeah,
because it's a really kind of interesting arc with the Diviner, and if you think of it that way, it makes a little more sense, right? Because you don't tell the hammer why it's important in the construction of the chair.
Yeah, she was very much the blunt object at the beginning. In cat boots.
But as far as her leaving, I think that was probably a good idea, because she's still carrying on technically what her father wanted to do. She's supposed to save her planet, and if she's got the ability to do that, then I think she should go do that.
And by the way, she's got a badass Starfleet uniform that they mixed in bits of the heirloom into it. It looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough.
I know, man. And then everybody else, except Zero, obviously, because Zero has to have an encounter suit, because apparently,
He goes and sees Steve Jobs and Johnny Ive and gets upgraded.
I know, right? I mean, I'm sorry. I was thinking Vorlons, but like you clearly went Apple Store.
Yeah. Well, considering I just upgraded to a 14, that's where my mindset is right now.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh, and by the way, spotted when Rock Talk was in the science lab, spotted at one of the consoles an Enderprisian from Masquerade a few weeks back. So apparently they've made contact and gotten some of them to come over,
which is exciting.
Yeah. So lots of callbacks in this episode.
Yeah, actually, and which makes me, I do kind of wonder actually how the Enderprisian, like how that contact actually went. I'd really have loved to have seen that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that was hilarious.
Right? They're like, oh no, yeah, no, we've already seen you guys. Cheers. But the other thing I thought that was really interesting is that they took the setting for the tribunal almost shot for shot from Star Trek 2009.
Yes.
Because nowhere else have we seen that kind of amphitheater situation.
Well, we have. Because it's the same amphitheater was used in a season 2 first and second episodes of another Star Trek show that came out earlier this year.
I'm sorry, what?
Star Trek Picard.
I lived through it once, guys. I lived through it once.
Anyway, Zero looks like Kubert, right? No, he's got arms though. Kubert doesn't have arms.
No, I mean for me, he looks like that robot from Hitchhiker's Guide, actually.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Except with a sunny disposition.
Right? Like not working through some major depression.
Yeah. Oh.
Man, I mean, there's just a lot. There's just a lot in this episode that is just sort of like nodding at the parents.
Well, how is Rock so smart?
She spent 100 years not aging on the ship, learning every science.
Oh, that was years, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, she was alone a long time.
Yes.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah, no, I think that's the most horrifying episode we've yet watched.
Reminds me of like the last episode of SG-1. It was the same thing. They were there for like 80 years or something like that. I don't know if you watch that. You don't watch SG-1. All right then.
I watched bits and pieces of it when it was on. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, man. I'm sure that was a really cogent observation, but I'm just like,
it was, but if you guys didn't see it, then forget it.
But it's interesting as we see Jakin being tested on his engineering skill, and of course him messing with everyone about to hit it with a hammer. But he does claim to be a miracle worker. And I
loved it, man.
And we get Rock Talk doing some science, and apparently Starfleet knows very little about those slime worms because they seem Rock Talk seems to know a lot more from getting to be with Murph. That's why they're kicking her to xenobiology.
Yeah, but to be fair, really, where else was she going to go? I mean, she plays like Animal Hospital on the holodeck.
Yeah, actually, that makes perfect sense now.
Yeah, no, she is clearly setting up to be like space vet extraordinaire because like Zero really does have the rest of the general sort of science on lock.
Yeah.
But Rock Talk wants to cuddle the cuddly things. And I gotta tell you, I can't fault her for that.
No, not at all.
I too like to cuddle cuddly things.
Of course, that's why I have a dog.
I mean, my cuddly thing is currently hiding under the table, but Ooh.
Oh. What?
Aha.
Oh, hey Mike.
Hi everyone.
And Greer joining us.
I am here for a short time, a good time, not a long time. Today.
Okay, should I time you?
Wait, no. Keith broke out the timer. I guess I need to behave.
Is that a reputation?
I love the shade thrown there, by the way. That was amazing. Wow, it's always the quiet ones.
Yes, but they throw the best shade. But I will say, I had to hop on. Of course, we wrapped an amazing season. And so I just had to like slide in here, and I just couldn't let this moment pass. But I do have company at home, so I can't be on here for too long.
So they're not important.
Huh?
They're not important.
They
I mean,
are
again,
important.
I am going to point out that I podcasted on vacation. So,
Oh, I will point. Well, Marie, I would point out that I was up at 2 a.m. on vacation to podcast.
I was prepared to do that, but I decided nah.
Yeah,
I was there. I'm also going to point out that I was there with you.
I was gonna, and then it just didn't happen.
I was there with you.
Yeah, well, I think we all have the Trek dedication that we need. It just didn't coalesce
happen.
like it needed to.
However, I have dedication, but that dedication does not extend to rewatching season 2 of that other show.
Oh goodness. Well, wait.
Enterprise.
Well, but before we get into,
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Just the thought of it made Marie drink. The thought of that other show. He who
I know. I looked
Even
at Keith's
still,
master
even
plan.
still.
I looked at Keith's master plan for like our gap sessions, and I'm just like,
Even still, I'm still for that other show, season 3.
Yeah, I'm just putting ideas out there. I'm not.
Keith, I think that will be it because I thought of something similar. I'm going to be filming a few what if series, and we're going to be doing some what ifs based upon season 1 of Prodigy. And so just talking about some of the various elements in Prodigy and where we can pull some threads and see like, what if this changed? What if this happened? And thinking about particularly a new future where the Volnakat are now a lot friendlier to the Federation, to say the least.
but do we really think that's going to happen?
Well, remember, Essentia is still out there.
Right.
Essentia
is in fact still out there. She has no idea, and she's going to be. I guess she's going to be trying to get back to Solum.
Well, but also
because what the hell else is she going to do with Dreadnought 2.0?
Yeah.
Well,
and I do not want X-rated responses.
I would never think.
You just had to go there, didn't you?
I would say that Gwen is a very powerful communicator. She was now a Starfleet trained communications officer, limited training as it may be. So let's see what happens with those diplomatic skills.
Well,
and it's funny because I was thinking about that. I was like, it makes so much more sense for Gwen to go into the diplomatic corps.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, as we saw in Deep Space Nine with Nog, Starfleet has not been good with utilizing their communications assets properly. Because he had that one episode where he's able to detect things with his incredible hearing, giant ears, and it's never brought up again.
Yep.
And instead, he's fast-tracked engineer. Nope. Sit in communications.
It was brought up on 2 episodes with when the Defiant, when Michael Eddington wiped the Defiant's computers, and he was actually the relay station. But also, it was brought up again in season 7, where he was on the scouting mission and he lost his leg, and that is still a really tough.
Ooh.
CJR 538. Yeah,
I was about to say,
incredible episode.
Ooh. Which, of course, leads us into the also incredible "It's Only a Paper Moon."
Yes.
Well, we have another sad moment with a hologram, this being Vic Fontaine, and we get a sadder moment, of course, in tonight's episode.
I don't think
hologram Janeway.
Yeah. I don't think anything sad ever happened to Vic Fontaine.
No.
I think that we could have had a much better series if Vic Fontaine was, not present. But
it's only a paper moon. He served his purpose right there. That one, and of course, him getting Odo to finally ask out Kira. That one, he served his purpose.
Personally, I was just kind of like, whatever.
Were you a whatever about hologram Janeway or whatever about Vic Fontaine?
Vic Fontaine.
Okay.
I like
because I gotta say I was not prepared to say goodbye to hologram Janeway, y'all. Like I was not prepared for that. Yeah, and my 41-year-old butt is sitting watching the screen going, I can't show this to my kids.
Yeah.
But it's
hey, the kids watched Optimus Prime die. They can watch Janeway die.
I'm sorry, wait. We are not bringing my trauma forward. We are not. I had therapy sessions about that death. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's like Artex in the bog of despair.
Jesus, y'all, I would like to sleep tonight.
Right. So, I know that we've done a recap of this episode. What have we done thus far on this episode?
Well, we did the recap, and we were going through some of the Easter eggs, but just describing our overall feelings on it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we had just gotten into like discussing Gwen's decision, because it's very obvious that it's Gwen's decision.
Yes.
That this is what she decides that she wants to do, and this is how and this is a choice that she's making, which I love, right? Like, because this is very much.
It makes sense.
The thing is, we did see what kind of ship she was on, but I'm gonna guess it's a shuttle. But is it a runabout, or is it like a standard shuttle?
I don't think. I mean, could it have been just a shuttle?
1 second.
To me, it gave me very shuttle-esque vibes. Like she was going to connect with another ship up in orbit. It looked like. I mean, I know it was a little bit confusing because they launched that protostar. It looked like they were about to launch the protostar from Starfleet headquarters, and I'm like, since when do we launch? Since when do we build ships at Starfleet headquarters?
Oh no, we've already been there. Yeah.
No.
No, we complained about that too, because it was just like, I'm like, wait a minute.
It would have made more sense if they were at Douglas Station, Space Dock, and seeing her off from there, and then turn and go, oh, it's the Protostar A.
Like oozing out of like Utopia Planitia shipyards, like that were in space for a reason. That was also one of the things that truly bugged me in Star Trek 2009 as well.
Yeah, that made no sense.
Okay, Jason
in Iowa.
Jason is no longer trying to give me vertigo.
I was trying to see if I could put my phone upside down and have the camera right itself. Apparently, that's not going to happen.
That's not how that works.
And it won't go sideways.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was traumatic, right? Like, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, why are we building it here? Like, the gravitational forces on the Enterprise are just going to tip it over. Like, this does not make sense.
Especially since they don't have triple 3 points of contact to the ground. They literally have a singular point.
Yeah.
It's a line.
Yes.
It's a line. This ain't going to work, y'all. It ain't going to work. At least the Protostar had, like sort of like Voyager, the ability to land. I mean,
right.
Roddenberry is on record as saying he invented he came up with transporters because he couldn't figure out how to land the Enterprise, and he really loved the design of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Well, and it costs too much money for shuttlecrafts back and forth every show.
Well, they didn't have the shuttlecraft done in time for the first episode because it was being designed by a car company. And since they couldn't it cost too much to land the ship itself. So transporter.
And it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I find myself watching other science fiction, like space shows, and I'm sitting here like, well, oh, wait.
Yeah.
You have no transporter, because a transporter makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah. There's a comic of the Empire attacking the Enterprise D, and Picard saying, what, no shields? And they're shooting us with lasers? Mr. Worf, beam a photon torpedo to the bridge of that ship.
So, I know that everybody kind of shared a little bit about...
Your episodes are lame! Yeah.
I know everyone shared a little about kind of how they felt about this episode. So if I may indulge, I really wish that they would have just given us this last week. I wish they would have. This was not worth this. I feel like this was not worth the wait. It was the ending I expected. The Gwen was a nice twist. I love that she made her decision to go forward and to, I'm not going to join Starfleet yet. I'm going to kind of do this dual weird role and try to see where I can go. I love that, but it felt like they should have just did part 1 and part 2 last week, and it should have been our Christmas present. Because I
agree on that. It should have been a double episode last week.
And I'm really upset. I won't say upset. I was really disappointed that they ended on this note, because I'm like, this is just a simple wrap up. Like, it's a complete and simple wrap up. Now, I would love them forever if they did something like amazing, but I don't think they have the balls or courage to do it, which is show up next week with another full episode. Like,
No.
yeah, they don't have the balls to do that.
Like getting
Oh no, that's not a question of balls.
It's not a question of balls. That's a question of resources.
Yeah, this isn't the Sandman on Netflix. They can't just drop it.
You know, that's what I was thinking of.
I mean, because that's literally the example that we recently have. But Netflix is able to do things that Nickelodeon is not, because of because of the profit model, and also because of the way Netflix controls its properties.
Yeah,
This is a little bit more this is a dicier bit of a negotiation here.
Yeah,
so I don't
that's
think it's a
putting a
question
lot
of
on
balls.
Paramount Plus to come up with when they're so busy with whatever the hell. What is that show? Yellowstone. I have no idea, but people seem to love it.
well, I will always
Does
refer
that involve
back.
cowboys? Because I'm very confused.
I don't know. There seems to be like two spin-offs of it. One set in the future and one set in the past. I don't understand.
That's Harrison Ford, correct?
Yeah. Well, no. The future, the 1923 one is Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. And then there's like an 1881, and
All I know is that I've
yeah.
been seeing all kinds of like advertisements for you can't start a range war, and it's like, well, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Mike, we discussed earlier when you weren't here about how fast that resolution came with destroying the protostar, and then there was just like 20 minutes of episode left of show still to go.
But I do kind of like, while I agree with you in terms of pacing, I understand why they made the choices that they did.
Mhm.
Because we've got like, once they chose to make the resolution of that, the destruction of the protostar, then we've got to figure out how we're going to get these kids who are effectively criminals into Starfleet or not into Starfleet, and figure out where we're going to set and how we're going to set up for season 2.
Yep.
And so
And
all
a
of that
new
makes
ship.
sense.
Mhm.
All of that makes sense. And also we have Admiral Janeway stepping into hologram Janeway's.
So she's going to be her own person now on the show for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now we're going to be in the future with. I found it odd that it was like the same wormhole that opened up.
Well, she modeled the previous.
Mm-hmm.
No, based off of the telemetry and the scans from the previous wormhole, she was able to finagle a new
Mm-hmm.
what's it?
Rift
Flexure.
Fracture in space time. There's
Right.
a lucky one.
Yep,
Did that
yep.
deliberately from the from blowing up the protostar, like in the exact way that would open up that rift.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Jason,
now makes you wonder how they opened it the first time, because they obviously did not blow up the protostar that first time.
No, the first time I was just there, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh yeah, maybe they.
It was
did
a naturally forming phenomena, right? Like, I mean, it was just one of those anomalies that occurred. But what's nice about it is that holographic Janeway has all of her memories restored, which means she has access to the telemetry data from the protostar at that particular point. So she's actually able to do this as a way. I mean, and Admiral Janeway points this out. She's like, with that advisor like making that decision, she is pointing us to Chakotay.
Yeah.
Right.
Y'all, I am not keen on this becoming Save It Private Chakotay.
That's what it's going to be.
So in all honesty,
I don't want him to be saved. I'm totally cool with Chakotay marooned on Solo.
You know, I am very excited for Robert Beltran having some work.
He should be on 1923 or Yellowstone.
Yeah.
People
I know, but it's. I mean,
I liked him, Mr. Chakotay. I always did.
It's not a question. It's not a question of like liking or disliking Chakotay. I have an interesting relationship with like the decisions they made with that character. It's that, and this is, you know, part of my frustration with the series that shall not be named. Why are we going through and doing and revisiting all of this older stuff? Like, one of the great things about Prodigy is it's been so focused on going in a radically different direction, which, some of these other more recent tracks haven't been doing.
Yeah.
And in lower decks, that makes sense. They're doing something else completely. They're doing something completely different. It's taken Discovery how many seasons to figure this out?
Yeah. At least 3.5. Yeah.
Right?
Wait. It's taken Discovery 3 seasons to figure out what?
Do something different.
Right. To take advantage of the fact. I mean, I understand season 1, they were written into into the constraints of the setting they chose.
Hmm.
That was a life choice, guys. That was.
We had to fix it and kind of create a bridge to the future. I was supportive.
Yep. Strange New Worlds is also going in a different direction, which I'm kind of loving, right? Like, I mean, we're going into like the Gorn hegemony there.
But it's still following some of the beats of the past, but it's doing it in a new and a more exciting way.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that we're getting some of the same storylines, but with character,
character development.
Yeah.
The women are allowed to speak and wear pants.
And wear pants.
So,
and get a sensible haircut, not that
Marie,
weave.
Yeoman Rand.
So I would just say, like, I like that Prodigy is revisiting these kind of older storylines, because I have often wondered, like, after the timeline was reset after Voyager, what happened? Where was the crew? And so I'm excited that Prodigy is revisiting these old storylines. But personally, I don't feel that they're doing it in a stale, or I don't feel like they're doing it in some stale manner. I think it is still, to me at least, it's coming across very fresh and very innovative, how they're doing it. I mean, there have been some creative licenses that I haven't enjoyed. As you all know, I've voiced them on here. And if you don't know,
not enjoying something and being and telling us about it, say it isn't so.
But
I like Jason's expression. He's like, "What are you doing, people?"
But and so but I've overall I've enjoyed it, and I go back to how they have visited and took really like errant threads out of Star Trek. Oh my God, what was the episode where they landed on the mimic planet? The mimicking planet. I can't remember.
Demon.
The Enterprisians?
No.
You're talking about Voyager,
No,
right?
Prodigy.
Oh,
Prodigy. Where the vines on the planet were making a fake.
Oh yeah.
No, where they created the fake Starfleet.
Yeah, the Enterprisians.
Yeah. Master. No, not Master.
Oh gosh, I don't remember.
I just said the name. I literally just said the name 10 minutes ago.
Are you talking
I know,
about
because
Prodigy?
we were talking about it. They were literally
it's written by Aaron Wolke.
Yes,
it is.
Masquerade.
Yes. Like I love that Prodigy to me has consistently done an amazing job of pulling on these old Star Trek threads that were not blunted, but they were just like, somebody can just grab a hold here and keep intertwining this and reconnect this back to the main storyline.
Well,
I got
Lord
you.
Dex does that as well.
Lord
Dex does that.
But yeah, and so I think that like Prodigy has done an amazing job of that, and so I don't mind how they're doing it. I don't mind how they're going about it.
So I get what you're saying, and so certainly in Masquerade they were definitely pulling on these older characters, right? Like, I mean, is it Ensign Garrovick that ends up dying on that planet?
And I literally got teary-eyed during that episode.
There were several of these episodes that had that teary-eyed moment. So.
But what I really love about what Prodigy is doing is that Prodigy has been really, really good about introducing these concepts and these characters to kids who have never seen or heard of it. The Chakotay thing feels like it's sort of like when Spock showed up in Discovery. Like, it is a hook for older fans.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
And so while that's not necessarily a problem,
but so is Jane.
Yeah, but I think Janeway actually works here.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. In ways that perhaps other captains would not have. Like, one, she's definitely more, like, she was definitely more active and more aware of what was going on in her crew's actual, like, emotional lives than, you know, Cisco or Picard or
Yeah.
Kirk. I have thoughts
Cisco
there.
can't-
Would it be different
No.
if it was just somebody else? If it was like Tuvok, or if it was Harry Kim, or if it was, you know, anybody?
Well, the problem with Harry Kim is he's still an ensign, so that's
Right, so that's clearly not going to work.
Wait, pause a
And
moment. Now,
Tuvok
you
has
all
better
know-
shit, and Tuvok has better sense.
yeah.
You all know Captain Kim is going to be taking Gwen back to Witchmawaki.
Have we
No.
heard anything about Garrett Wong coming back?
Captain
He's-
Kim is going to
He's now
take
got his podcast. Him and Robbie McNeil have their show, The Delta
Mhm.
Flyers, and they
Right.
both. And of course, Robbie's been back on Lower Decks, and he's
Mhm.
now back, and his character's now back in the comics. But yeah, Garrett Wong has said, "I would love to come back. You know, whenever."
Call me.
Yeah.
Captain Kim is going to, which would align with the alternate timeline that was presented in the Voyager finale. He is going to be the one that is assigned to a long-range deep space mission to take Gwen back to Solo.
Yeah, him and Barkley.
No, Barkley's teaching at the academy.
Barkley is a teacher.
I mean, you know,
Never got past commander. Yeah.
God love those students, man. Like, you know, people are just like, they want to be in his class, but they also really don't.
Just imagine the reading.
It's all everybody who's going to be a great science officer is in his class.
And no, he's an engineer.
He's an engineer. He's yellow.
Yeah,
He's yellow.
But everyone who's going to be a good science officer is in his class.
Well, if they're studying his psychoses, maybe.
Right. Like, so here's the deal. Everybody who was the sort of person who was going to create a chronometric toaster that toasts toast after you've eaten it is in Barclay's class. Everybody else who has good sense is over there learning something from somebody else.
Yeah, they're learning from Chief O'Brien, the greatest person to ever.
The greatest engineer to ever live.
Right.
No, the greatest Starfleet
Right? And like,
officer ever.
and you can just see Miles O'Brien going, all right, there's bullshit going on over there, but that is not what we're going to be doing here.
All right, hello class. So which ones of you took Barkley last semester?
No.
I
Today,
am so sorry for all of you.
Right?
today's lesson: self-stealing stem bolts and what they're for.
No, that's the extra credit. That's the extra credit question on the final for every single class.
Yeah, the ones that's partially cut off by the copier. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But it's deliberate because, you know, it's the 24th century and, you know, those copiers are supposed to work this time. But, you know, like, I mean, no, like, why is this not something we haven't seen on like Lower Decks?
Yeah.
Yes,
they need to get
so-
to that.
So I do need to get off of here because I'm trying to entertain. And so I just have to ask, can we give the season?
No. Shut down.
I'm gonna
Where
say
is
no.
William when I need him? Where is my support?
I don't know, but I have the magic fiat one, and I said we are not rating. We will rate later. I hate ratings.
So does that mean you promise to rate during?
I promise nothing. I make no promises.
I'm a lawyer. I make no promises. Nothing is definitive. Everything comes with a hedging statement.
Makes sense to me, yeah.
She said, like Khan, I give you no guarantee.
I mean, ask me for no bright lines, and I will tell you no lies. Like,
do you all?
I rate it. You know, I'm not even going to give it an eggplant because, you know, that clip of David Tennant on the Graham Norton show keeps showing up on my Facebook wall and ruining eggplants for me.
Well, I will forgo ratings if you can answer this question honestly. Do you not believe Captain Kim is going to show up in season 2?
I have a sneaking suspicion that Garrett Wong may have stepped on somebody's toes.
Well, if they're off in the future somewhere. Maybe not.
Well, remember, they were going to
If
fire him.
Dave Chakotay's season, you know.
So Garrett Wang was supposed to be let go, and instead they got rid of Jennifer Leanne.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind now they have to be in an alternate universe because an alternate timeline.
Also,
But they have
why
to
do
get
we
to
have
the
to
alternate
have
timeline.
Captain Kim? Why can we not get more Tuvok?
How about Torres? Because she designed the Dauntless class.
I would love to see Jankum Pog and B'Elanna Torres.
Oh my God, that would be so great.
Yeah, he would
Because
just
they would be at just like,
He would just-
Oh my God. I mean,
would be like
shit would be
insult
on
heaven.
fire, but it would just be amazing. And
Yes.
Jacob's literally gonna walk away thinking like they're best friends, and like B'Elanna is gonna be like, I'm gonna eat his liver, like, you know.
And everything's gonna work, but they're
just
gonna,
magically,
they're gonna
right? Like,
drive each other so insane as it works. And yeah, you're never gonna have that moment of like, where they look at each other and both have that moment of, oh, you're good at your job. Alana's just gonna keep on saying,
oh no, there's a running pool, right? Like, so literally everybody else in engineering is taking bets on like who's gonna come out ahead solution wise.
Yeah, the kid or the half Klingon.
But isn't so?
Or they're going to love each
that
other.
history was
Or she's going to
erased.
be like, all right, you can go whack it, Jankum.
Yeah. Yes, I can see her walking up and, can I borrow the hammer, please?
Right.
And her like tethered to his arm, actually using the hammer appropriately. Like, this is what I needed. I love it.
Yeah, no, like this is what I want to see. Like, Harry Kim. No. Bring me back some half Klingon / Tellarite rage.
That would be beautiful.
But that would
very rapidly escalate past a kid's show, though.
Oh, yes.
I think we're going to see Captain Kim.
I know, you were on this.
Listen, I now know that...
I want the Doctor. If we get anyone back from Voyager, I want the Doctor.
Why does everybody always end up being captain of a starship, though? Like, that's not even like...
Well, Barkley did it, so...
They're not...
I mean, neither did Deanna.
Yeah. But also, I think that if they brought back Tuvok would not be captain. I don't think Tuvok wants...
He's in Starfleet Intelligence now. Remember, he helped figure out how the attempt to take down Captain Freeman.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, first episode of Lower Deck Season 3. Tuvok did an invasive mind meld in order to find out the details of how they tried to pin the destruction of Pakla planet on Captain Freeman.
Yeah, no, like Tuvok has turned into like a Vulcan cowboy.
Oh, so he's Section 31.
No, Starfleet Intelligence.
Starfleet Intelligence.
Difference.
Is there a difference, though?
Yes.
Thank you, Jason. Get to my point. And I go back to my original theory. That Boothby has actually run Section 31 this whole time.
I'm really comfortable with that, being okay with that.
Section 31 is a part of Starfleet Intelligence, though.
Like, I'm fully comfortable saying that Gardner knows, is in charge of all kinds of shit. And if he's not, Section 31 has fallen down on its remit.
I just want them to acknowledge that Boothby was born on Mars. That's all I need to hear. Someone say that.
Boothby was important enough to be recreated by aliens.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was the running that whole species 8472.
Yep.
Construct.
I truly believe Boothby is the one who is running Section 31. And anyone who is listening, I would encourage you to go listen to I think that was a What If episode where I literally did a 15-minute rant explaining how Boothby is running everything from under a fucking tree at Starfleet Academy.
No, it's a bush, not a tree. They take up more space.
It was a tree.
Is it a tree?
Picard carved his initials.
There are definitely so there are definite like flower beds. So like the flower beds have certain like those are certain clandestine issues, and then the tree's a different like type of meeting. This is how he keeps it. This is how he keeps track. He has like his flower, people. He's got his tree people, like
right. And so he's like, you're an azalea. You're an oak tree.
He's got the
you
rock
are
garden.
Rose.
He's got the vegetable garden.
And then he's like, "Hey, you're just a cucumber. Go sit over there."
As my high school chemistry teacher used to say, of the two Chem 1 classes, you guys are the vegetable garden. The other class is the rock garden. At least you guys are alive.
That was harsh.
But kind of
Right.
awesome, also.
Yeah.
Not gonna
When
lie.
he retired, he then joined the school board. So yeah.
Ooh. Ooh. But yeah,
Oh,
like,
nice.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, yeah, no. Like, I think there's a lot of other threads that we could pull. Do I think Harry Kim is due for some actual development? Yeah.
Overdue, yes.
Yeah. Overdue.
Captain Kim season 2.
Commander Kim, I'll give you that far.
Captain Kim.
First lieutenant.
First Lieutenant Junior grade.
Lieutenant junior grade or lieutenant.
Right.
No.
He will be Captain Kim. I mean,
But
Harry
please,
built a
God,
whole
leave the
Astrometrics
clarinet at home.
lab.
Just leave the clarinet at home.
Well, he did, so then he had to make a new one.
Again. And he wonders why he can't get laid.
All right, we're almost at time.
Okay, so y'all know I like to wrap things up very nicely and very neatly. So can we just talk about our favorite maybe scene from the 2 finales that we've seen? Our favorite scenes, and then could Keith maybe do a recap of what we can expect during this gap period where it should be filled with Star Trek shorts, but the CBS executives are not listening to me.
We are going to talk about what we're going to do there.
Okay.
That isn't like set in stone, my dude.
Well, that was me floating an idea this afternoon. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I figured since you didn't push back then, it was set in stone.
I
but-
did.
yeah.
I did push back on these series that shall not be
named. We
named.
gotta talk about He Who Shall Not Be Named. I know he's terrible. The show was terrible. I say it every week.
And I disagree every week.
I think there were good moments. I really, really do. But I was just so overwhelmingly frustrated with just the thematic underpinnings and how that led to the resolution that we got, that I just kind of wanted to throw something, because that was very much a callback to this sort of Berman-esque understanding of what women are good for.
It's like talking about the last season of Game of Thrones. It's like so much you can say about it. It's just terrible.
Yeah, I hear bad things about that one. But going back to this, honestly, it's a really tough call. But I think for me, it's Gwen using the tools that the diviner instilled in her to be used as a tool for revenge, to protect the people that the diviner wished to hurt the most.
And of course, she
Because-
gets her special name. Zero calls her the Unifier.
Yes.
So her
Yes.
father was the diviner, and she'll be the Unifier, which
Mhm.
calls back to, was it the W. Bush campaign? I'm a uniter, not a divider. Yes, I went there.
Like it.
Sorry.
And I thought the Optimus Prime death reference was going to keep me up at night.
Trust me, Marie, I'm there too. Yeah.
So, because I really, one of the many things that Prodigy has just routinely insisted upon and has just emphasized throughout this has been the necessity for communication and the necessity of teamwork. Like, nothing is ever, Star Trek generally, obviously, relies on collectivist action when it's, in its resolutions, generally speaking. But Prodigy has taken that and dialed it up to 11, because it is constantly reinforcing this idea that everything that makes us different, everything that makes us special, makes us useful and helpful in these different situations. And that is definitely one of the through lines in Supernova's part 1 and 2. And I love it. And I love it. And I love the emphasis on communication, because, like, especially when you juxtapose that with what happens with Solom, right? It's Solom's the Val Nakat's inability to communicate, not only with, the outside universe, but also within their own culture that results in this titanic civil war and the destruction of their society. And so here is Gwen, who is literally created. I have no idea how the species procreates. I have questions. I have many questions.
It seems to
Um,
be some sort of
Fibrous
single
husk.
sex.
I have ideas.
but yeah, like I mean, but again, she's been literally created to be this tool of destruction, this tool of vengeance, and she takes that training and recognizes that she can use this training in a better way, which is also, I think, the most important thematic through line through the entire season, which is you can make better choices than the adults around you. It's okay.
I don't know if I like the idea of telling kids that. They already think that these kids.
You know, there's so much in the world today that you can look at and say certain choices were made that perhaps if you would have gave it a second of thought, they might have gone a different way. And kids are seeing what's happened, and you can
Yes.
trace it back to exact moments where, okay, here's where this decision was made, and that's why we have this. And they go, well,
Mhm.
why was that decision made? Because it cost too much, or because they didn't think of it, or because this one guy from Connecticut said no.
Just pulling that out. Just pulling that out for a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, look at the Parkland kids, right? Like the Parkland kids are making different choices, and
absolutely.
I think that's a wonderful. And Gen Z is making different choices,
Yeah.
and I think that's what that particular theme is speaking to. It's not just a question of don't because it's very much not a don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Like because we do still hold on to all the good things about the Federation and Starfleet values.
Yeah.
I think that Prodigy also, like as a whole, is also like about, you have a team, stick with your team, don't give up on your team, rely on your team. I mean, Star Trek, I guess in general is about that, but it's more like adult and formal, and it's less likely not to happen in most episodes of Star Trek. Whereas in Prodigy, it's kind of like, they're kind of quick to sort of feel like, oh, I'm not doing the right thing myself, and put themselves in a little hole.
Well,
Do
when
you
you look at
do you have a scene that represents that?
I mean, when Dal got his augments was a whole episode kind of about that, how he sort of pulled away from the or did something because he didn't even trust that the team relied on him of who he was or whatever. Um, I think a lot of it is about making sure you are with your team, you stick with your team.
And
well,
honestly, in a polarizing world, I can't imagine a better message to teach kids. And
Yeah.
they're adult caregivers.
mhm.
While I'm on it, um, it's not like we're not living in a situation where it's the lone cowboy running amok.
Yeah.
I mean, we are all living in a collective environment, and we need to recognize that, and we need to recognize that we have an affirmative obligation to make it better.
Well, when you look at the other series we've had, all of the groupings were by assignment. All of these people were brought together because they were put there by Starfleet. They were put there by a situation. This group on this show kind of came together at that moment, and they each found how they fit within the team. When you first got on the ship, you're thinking, okay, Rockcock, that's your security officer. No, she's your badass science officer. It's Murph here, that's your security officer. And it took a few episodes for everyone to find their place.
Right.
Even
They had to learn.
Mhm.
They had to
yeah,
learn what Starfleet was and how Starfleet ran.
well,
And then
just
they do Starfleet better than Starfleet does.
yeah. The fact Dal was ready to be captain purely out of his own ego, but through the course of his season, he became captain. Truly, that
Mhm.
he was willing to sacrifice his life for the good of the rest of the crew and Starfleet and everyone else. and he was willing to blow himself up.
Is that your scene?
For this episode, yeah, I'll go with that.
Is that like is that the Gwen moment or the?
No, that's literally when he says the auto controls are locked out.
Yes,
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he's the captain. That's his job. He didn't even think about asking Janeway, which is kind of weird.
That's what I do remember. So I that's a really good moment, like Keith, because like I was listening to it. I expected it to happen, and then I was for just like a brief second. I was like, well, why wouldn't you just have the hologram run the ship? But it was just like that selflessness that you just expect a captain to have, and it's like I went down. I'm the captain. I go down with my ship.
Yeah, like
Let alone
First Contact, Kirk and Doomsday Machine, and other episodes of the original series. You have those moments.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
But thus far, we haven't actually had to do that. But
also has to know when to send someone to their death for the greater good of everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Troy learned in sending Geordi to his death in that episode of Thine Own Self from 7th season of
Thine Own Self. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, folks. We are
well,
running 4 minutes over. We're running 6 minutes over.
But I will just say that my scene was actually Janeway doing the hearing during the hearing for them. I love a good hearing scene in Star Trek. I don't know what it is. It's something about a hearing scene where we get those awesome captain speeches that allow us.
Me.
But they just allow me personally to just like take a moment to focus and remember like idealism within our organizations and within like our purpose.
You feel like they're talking to you.
Yes, but it's like I feel like
when Joel Osteen's on stage and you're like, he's talking to me.
Oh God. But I feel like a lot of times because I work in government and I work in a lot of big, huge organizations, and I'm like, okay, sometimes I'm standing in those rooms and standing in those moments where I feel like I'm reminding this organization of its mission, of its goals, of its true values. And I feel that those captain moments really remind me like, hey, it's okay, organizations get off track, but remind them of their greater good and their greater purpose. And I love that. It keeps me energized and it allows me to keep moving forward. And I
think that's a really great critique and in the sense of exploring that, like a great critique to be made of how Star Trek actually causes itself to reevaluate the role of the institution and how the people run checks on the institutions. However, that ain't where we are today.
Well,
we're not there.
A whole different place.
Make sure to like and subscribe to watch more of these reviews, and put your comments down below with your own thoughts. And feel free to tell us when we're full of shit.
Yes.
I don't know that I want to hear that, but like Keith apparently does. All right, guys.
What did we start tonight's episode with? I apologize for a mistake I made last week, and I didn't. And unfortunately, no one called me out in the comments, but they should have because I was wrong.
About what?
The Defiant.
The Defiant was there. I said it wasn't the Defiant last week, but it was clearly the Defiant.
All right. So we have wrapped up Prodigy's first season. We have a bit of a gap before the series that shall not be named returns. Yep. We will still be here on Thursdays. We will.
Doing something.
Yes. Doing something. We don't yet know what it is, but it's probably going to be as much of a surprise to us as it will be to you.
But
you need to be here to find out what we do next.
Yes.
Can I make a plug about Picard? So Eric Deggans, for the reviewer for NPR, has seen the first 3 episodes of Star Trek Picard, and he and I usually align, and he actually said at least the first 3 episodes have erased the mistakes of the previous 2 seasons and are moving the series in the right direction.
It's the first 3 episodes of the season that are usually the best.
So yeah.
That's what they
I am reserving my judgment because I have been hurt. I have been hurt before.
I too am reserving judgment. I do have hopes, but I'm just reserved. I'm just gonna wait to see is.
If you watch the Ready Room, they had a clip from the first episode of season 3.
I don't even want to see
show
clip
today.
I don't
We
either.
saw part of in one of the trailers, and just like all of us, Captain Picard doesn't know where all his shit is.
Very true. Very true.
Fair enough. And on that note, I am rolling the beautiful bean footage. All right. See you next week, guys.
Live long and prosper.
Happy New Year!
Is the footage running?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not gonna ever say it on the internet. Yeah, never. yeah. I was watching.
I'm sorry. Wait. There was a shadow of a church.
Okay. What?
William has questionable
I didn't
ideas
catch
about
that
what he
one.
puts.
I didn't
William
catch
has
that
questionable ideas about what he puts on the internet.
Oh, I remember that episode.
Uh-huh.
I remember that episode. Yeah.
Wait, what? Wait.